Carlos.
Hola, Car.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien. I'm super excited about our conversation today and having you at Hablamos Spanglish for many,
Bueno.
many reasons.
Thank you for having me. Are we doing this in Spanglish or Spanish or English?
Whatever.
Whatever floats my boat.
Yeah, whatever language comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I always say this. I feel like I'm playing fill in the blank. Whatever the word that comes first. I just say.
I like it.
So, Carlos, you know what Hablamos Spanglish is all about, and I'm super excited to have you here because first, I want to thank you for giving us, a window for being an incredible partner for Hablamos Spanglish. Hi, hello has been an incredible, asset for us. Sure. And, later on, we're going to talk a little bit more about what Hi, hello is. But first, I want to learn more about you as a person. And I know many, many people that are listening to us will, be inspired by your journey. Claro. So let's start with the beginning. So...
Okay, well, let's go to the start. I was born in... thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. And I know that, we don't partner with just anybody. We definitely partner with people that we see vision in, people that we see potential in, and also people that we just love and care for. So all here for Hablamos Spanglish. So, bueno, voy a cambiar el español. Yo nací en Estados Unidos, pero soy hijo de papás
¿Mexicanos?
Emigrantes.
Immigrants.
Lo hacen, ¿no? Yo nací en Estados Unidos, pero soy hijo de papás emigrantes mexicanos. Son del gran estado de Sonora.
Oh, okay.
Nací, y por cierto, mi papá hoy se hizo ciudadano americano.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Hoy,
qué bueno.
Te voy a dar la foto ahí para que la pongan,
sí,
pero hoy hizo su juramento y le hicieron la prueba y todo eso. Pero yo nací en Estados Unidos, una familia hispana, pero yo nací en la frontera de Estados Unidos y México. Entonces yo hablo muy bien el español y hablo muy bien el inglés.
Muy bien.
En la escuela y era puro inglés en la escuela y la vida en Estados Unidos. Pero literalmente íbamos todos los días a México. Entonces mi español fue mejorando, se puede decir. Claro. Y yo tengo primos que ni una palabra de español te hablan, pero...
¿Y vivían contigo?
No, primos.
O sea...
Que ellos vivían en otras ciudades.
En otras ciudades, claro.
Pero nací y crecí en un lugar hispano. Y, o sea, la verdad, la vida hispana me ha encantado mucho. No porque soy hispano, pero en realidad somos una raza, se puede decir.
Bueno, sí.
Una raza muy divertida, calurosa, amorosa, o sea, y te digo porque yo tengo muchos amigos internacionales y a veces yo digo, ay Dios, los alemanes sí que son medio...
diferentes.
Cada quien tiene lo suyo,
sus características. Correcto.
Pero en realidad crecí en un hogar donde se trabajaba. It was the 9 to 5, and that was kind of like the standard, and it was like, you grow up, you get an education, you work a 9 to 5, you get your 401k, you save up, you buy your house. I mean, you work Monday to Friday, and that's it. So there was really no like entrepreneurship in me. Until at that time. Later on.
Okay.
But that's where I grew up.
And how was that experience? Like living in the U.S. and then crossing the border. And, to be with family. So how was that?
Honestly, it was the best.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Because I am Mexican and I was able to live my life in the U.S. as an American, but also enjoy the perks of Mexico was so nice. Because obviously Mexican food is the best. I'm not being biased.
No, I'm from Venezuela, but I believe I was Mexican in another life.
It's a fact. Mexican food is amazing. And it was not just that, but it was also the culture of like seeing and going to Mexico. And I remember going to some of my auntie's houses and for lunch and seeing my uncle come and eat lunch at home.
Oh my God.
And take a nap and have some coffee and then head back to work. And I'm like,
that's what we all wish for the other, immigrants, to have had that flexibility and opportunity, because, usually we're so far away.
Yeah.
And we miss, I haven't seen my family in 7 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
7 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I haven't seen them in a while too. So, because now I live in Florida.
Of course. Yeah.
And all my family's in Arizona. But it was just beautiful to see that culture where it's like the husband would go to the store to get the tortillas to go home because the lunch was ready. And it was like, I never saw that out here. So to be able to see that in Mexico was great. Literally to go to the plaza and like eat all the snacks that you want and just have all these families everywhere. Cool. That was so nice. And the culture was so different. And even though it was a third world country, or the way it looked like, and it wasn't so glamorous, I really loved it.
Yeah.
It was a city called Agua Prieta, Sonora.
Oh, wow. Wow. But you know what? I remember my little brother, like, he used to go to Venezuela, and he would say, everything is illegal here. Like, everything, like, things you do here are like kind of illegal, but it's full of life, that, y tener las plazas, y tener la familia, y poder tener esa libertad. I think, we miss all those things, right?
Yeah. So, here you don't even know who your neighbors are.
Exactly.
Because nobody walks out of their house.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. I think now we're getting more of a sense of community. Yeah. I think after COVID, I think we learned so many things that we need that human interaction, and I'm seeing that, that's changing. That's changing.
When you come to the U.S. from another country, you typically think, oh, the way of life here is wake up, go to work, come back, watch TV, go to sleep. And you don't have that camaraderie of like, oh, go to so-and-so's neighbor to ask for a cup of una tacita de azúcar or whatever. You don't do that here. But I think COVID broke a lot of that.
I think so.
Where it was like, how do you survive? How do you have relationship? You need to meet people.
Yeah.
And the closest people you have are your neighbors.
Yeah, and you need that. We need, as a human beings, we need that to survive, that human interaction.
We're not meant to be lonely. We're meant to be social.
Exactly. So tell me, was it hard at the beginning to, so you have two cultures, right? So you American, the Mexican culture, and, you were being raised by immigrants. So how was that life now here?
It was not hard at all.
Okay.
I think me and my sisters were just so used to it. Television, everything we saw was in Spanish. In English.
Okay.
So life at home, when it came to like the media or entertainment, was English speaking. But dinner time, prayer time, church time, family time was in Spanish.
Spanish, okay.
And I remember even there was rules at home where my mom said, no, vamos a hablar español. And sometimes me and my sister would talk English, so to think my mom wouldn't understand, and she would bust out with her English. I understand,
oh
Carlos.
My God, that's so funny.
But it was beautiful to be able to live that life, and now that I have kids, to be able to show them as well, hey, we are Hispanic. My kids are half Mexican, half Dominican, and 100% American. So it's like, there are cultures you need to learn.
Yeah.
And not because you go to an American or an English-speaking school means that you only speak English. So we got to teach you the language. So, no, it was amazing. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And, now that you're saying that with your kids, I remember when I was in Venezuela, my aunt would say, learn English. But, I was living in Venezuela, so I never, pay attention. Yeah. And I never thought that I was going to come and live here, right? Yeah. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I learn English, right? Because nowadays, being bilingual is
huge.
A huge
benefit.
A huge benefit. So, where were you? Did you live all your childhood in by the border? Or
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I remember we I mean, since I could remember, I was born in Phoenix, which is the capital of Arizona.
Yeah.
I think I was like 6 or 7 when we moved down south, which was Douglas, Arizona, a border town with Mexico. And that's where we were. That's where we lived, and we did life every day. Then we're very involved in church. My mom was
Okay.
made us make sure that we were very involved in church. And church was in Mexico, so it was like going every day. My grandparents lived in Mexico. I had aunts that lived in Mexico,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was just normal.
Okay.
And you cross the border, like
Sí,
it's not like,
sí, sí, sí.
o sea, there was days, especially on Sundays after church, where we would drive back and it was like an hour 20 minutes to like cross into the US. But we would cross so much that the border agents
They
knew who
already
we were.
knew.
Like, oh, how's it going? Hey, how's
Of
your dad?
course.
How's this? How's that? Like,
That's
it was
nice.
crazy.
Well, that's
Yeah.
nice. Those are the stories that I love to hear because they're
Yeah.
so different from, we're used to, and that's why
Yeah.
Hablamos Spanglish is all
Yeah.
about, and I feel like I when I learn about these stories, I'm,
Mm.
enriching myself and the
Mm.
lives of others, right? Through the stories like yours.
Mhm.
So tell me about. So you just mentioned that your kids are half
Dominican,
Dominican, Mexican.
Mexican,
So your wife, ¿verdad, Carolina?
Carolina.
She's from Dominican Republic.
Mhm.
So you have a mix of
Which is
cultures.
crazy because I would have never guessed that I would have married a Dominican.
Okay. Where did you
Honestly.
guys meet? How?
We actually met, when we met for the first time, it was at a Denny's late at night. It was, no, I'm sorry, we went to church. Then it was at Denny's and with a bunch of friends. And I was dating somebody at the time. She was single. And I remember our friends were trying to like get us to meet. And I remember that first night, all I could do was rave about my ex-girlfriend. and it was just dumb. But anyway, yeah, that's where we met.
Oh my gosh. So how did
She
you
was kind of snobby too when I met her. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So wait until I have both of you and Hablamos Spanglish, telling more about your story. So how was the mix of, the two cultures? Because I think that's something also that you see here
Yeah.
in the US because, we have so many Hispanic immigrants coming from
Mhm.
different countries, right? That you get the opportunity to learn about other countries,
Mhm.
other cultures, food, different things. So you marry another, from a different background. So how was that?
At the beginning, it was weird. I will tell you that. And even though we are both Hispanic and we speak Spanish, but the cultures are so different. And I remember well, obviously we were speaking English when we met, but we
Okay.
both knew that we spoke Spanish, but the majority of our conversations were held in English. And I remember the first time she invited me over to her house. They had like a family gathering, and I thought there was gonna be a brawl in that house, and everyone was gonna start fighting because they were arguing politically,
Oh my
politics.
gosh.
And I was like, esta vaina, vaina. And I never heard that word vaina.
Of course, that's
I had
true.
no idea what that word was. And I'm like, what is vaina and coño and this and that? And I'm just like sitting, like listening, but I was like, oh, it's going down. And I remember me and her after, I said, what is vaina?
Yeah, because they're different, like slangs.
Slangs?
In our countries that means either don't exist in another country or means something else.
Something else. Like vaina for them is like a thing, a feeling, a situation. It means various things. I'm like, okay, so when do I know when to use it?
When to use
Which
it?
I've been married for, I think, I've been married for 12 years 11 years. and I don't know
Oh my gosh.
what vaina or how to use vaina. But. So to answer your question, it was a culture shock.
Yeah, there was a culture shock.
It was different. Even though we spoke the same language, it was like, whoa, that's weird. That's different.
It is. So now you eat mango and she eats
Mango. I love mango.
and she eats tacos. Yeah, there you go.
She loves tacos. Though she doesn't eat any spicy foods.
Okay.
And
you
all
guys
I
put
eat is
spicy
food.
on everything?
So she has a little bit of a struggle sometimes with certain things, but her family makes up for it.
Okay.
Because her family all love spicy food except for her. So
have you visited each other's country? Okay.
Yeah. I went to Dominican Republic for the first time when we were dating. And I mean, that's when I went to visit her family. That's when I realized I'm marrying this girl.
Oh.
And it was because I met grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, cousins, everywhere. So when I met them, it was like I fell in love with like the family. And I was like, and then I brought her over.
Okay.
And she was fascinated as well because we have the hot dogs and the burritos and this and that. So she was like, "Oh my gosh, the food was amazing."
So yeah, because when you marry the whole family, and for us, it's not
in Hispanic world. That's a legit thing.
That's legit. It's like, and it's not like mom and dad and sister and brother. It's not like you say aunt, abuelita.
You marry everybody.
Everybody.
The second cousin and the third cousin. Everyone's in your life, but
exactly. Oh my gosh. So when did you have now, like you growing up, did you have any cultural shock because you were American and then also Mexican? So how, did you have any trouble or
in America?
Yeah. Or even you internally? Like,
I don't think so because I was raised so, and this is where it's like it's so scary because the system raises our kids, right? In a certain way because we're at school 8 hours a day. So 8 hours of my day I was being taught by a different culture than what I'm used to. And then I go home and then I'm raised by that culture. So it was a mix. So I was able to turn the switch on and off. And there was seasons where I had more Hispanic and Mexican friends and no white friends. And then there was a season where I had all white friends.
That's so funny.
And my parents would be so upset because they were like, mira, este se cree gringo ya. So I was able to, because I think I was so always 50-50 that it was easy for me.
It was easy. That's awesome. So now that when did you decided to become an entrepreneur? And was that an easy step for you?
What?
An easy step, like when you transition?
I will tell you this. I married an entrepreneur. So I think I'm married into the world of entrepreneurship because like I told you earlier, I was raised in a 9-to-5 world. That was it. That was life. So my wife, who's a third, fourth, fifth, I don't know how many generations of entrepreneur she has in her, she would always kind of like, I wish you would see yourself the way I see you.
Wow.
And I'd be like, por favor, ya cállate ya, déjame, tú te casaste con este hombre, this is who I am. But I think there was a part of insecurity in me that I was like, why? What is she wanting? So I never understood really where she was going. And slowly but surely, I started to realize like, she started showing me with actions what she meant to say. So she left the term, the nagging wife, and became a supporter. So she supported me in my journey to become an entrepreneur. And it wasn't until years later and needs that we had that pushed us to become entrepreneurs that I said, you know what? I have to make a change. I have to do something with my life, not necessarily for the sake of me, but for the sake of my family, and specifically for the sake of my child, which we have our oldest has autism.
Mm-hmm.
So the need of therapies and all of this stuff with my child forced us to make money.
Wow. Yeah.
So now that I have become an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
and have a business, I can easily say it's easier said than done.
It is.
But I think for the most part, it's a mental thing.
I think so.
I think in America, if you don't make money, it's because you don't want to make money. Because literally, like, you can make money out of Q-tips.
But you back to what you were saying. Me as an entrepreneur, I find that when you decide to be an entrepreneur, you need that support from somebody, right?
Yeah.
I remember that I started like doing resumes for my friends and designing those, or doing PR for nonprofits and helping them. But it came natural until one day somebody told me, Anna, you can charge for those things, right? I'm like, really? Me? I don't know. So isn't it until somebody can spark that light on you, and then having that support. And I'm glad you guys did it, because this is amazing what you guys have done. It is an incredible vision that you had, and it became a reality, and now I think you're gonna keep growing. You started small, and you have expanded and made this incredible space. So tell us now a little bit about Hi Hello.
So Hi Hello Labs is probably our fourth business.
Okay.
Some failed, some succeeded. Some
and we're gonna go there.
And we'll go there.
Okay.
But Hi Hello Labs was birthed out of me trying to do something with me. So we have a sister company called Hi Hello Co., which is a corporate gifting company. And that was kind of birthed from my wife during just her time as a housewife, mom at home kind of thing. And I was still working full time, so I was kind of supporting. It was costing me more money to have that business than actually having the business. So long story short, I quit my job and went through a phase of depression and anger and bitterness and lack of identity and trying to figure out who I was. Hi Hello Co., our sister company, actually was kind of kicking off and was supporting us. And then during that time, my wife was like, well, let's just join forces and let's do Hi Hello Co. together. And I was like, I kind of want to do my own thing too. Like, what if we do like a his and hers thing? Well, long story short, I'm having lunch with a friend, and we're sitting down, and he's like, Carlos, stop bitching about it and go go find a solution. Find a problem, create a solution. And I was like, dude, I don't need this. Like, screw you. I'm out. I left. I was crying because I was so mad and depressed. I was driving home, and I'm a very spiritual person, but God told me, I literally felt God told me that what I was going to do when I was going to do it. Because rewind 2 years prior to, I had this idea and I presented it to my boss. And my boss at the time said, that's a stupid idea.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I guess I won't mention it again. Is it stupid?
Wow.
So 2 years later, here we're sitting in our studio that we built, literally investing our own hard-earned money and obeying, what God told us to do, and we love it, But I also built it not just for me, but I wanted to build something that could expand the voice of others, the stories of others. I love chatting and I love talking to people and getting to know their stories. And essentially, like podcasts like these, that it's like, I want to build a space, a beautiful space that people can come and share and expand their callings and their desires. And that's where Hi Hello Labs began. And the way the name came about was because we had Hi Hello Co. So I said, well, I want my own thing. So my wife, Carolina, she was like, well, what if we call it Hi Hello and add a name after that? And I always loved the term lab.
Okay.
Just as a creative, it was like you create things, labs. So I always said I wanted to do this. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Hi Hello Labs.
There you go.
And we started off in not where we're sitting now, in another space, which is much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
We started off with just 4 different little studios, which we call labs. And we started building clientele, word of mouth. Everything's been word of mouth. And now we expanded to where we are sitting now. We tripled the size of where we were.
In a year, because we have to mention that.
Yeah, because we've only been open for like a year, a little over a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And we went from 4 labs to 10. And literally, this is happening as there's something else happening in a few other rooms. And it's just, thank God and thank the support of my wife and our hard work together. And obviously the clients that love us, that we get to do what we love.
Yeah, and I really commend you about that, because, at first, going after your dream is hard, because like you said, there are going to be many failures. But if that's your calling, and also there has to be something bigger. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Because being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing, right? And I remember like, oh yeah, many people say, I want to become an entrepreneur because I want to work less or whatever. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. But
you actually work more.
Yeah, you actually work more, and then if you have a team, then you manage a team, and you become. It is hard, but I think when you have that why figure out, and you know what your calling is, and why you are doing this, there's a purpose, right? And that keeps you going. It makes it easier.
For sure.
And I think you guys, like you mentioned, this is a beautiful and incredible space, which we are lucky, to be part of, but also, like you say, your mission with amplifying the voice of others, right? So which is beautiful.
And it's so funny that when we said amplifying the voice of others, we like never thought of a specific like gender or a specific background or style. It was just like, we want to be a hub for people to find the tools that they need. And we have anyone from realtors to doctors to pet groomers to politicians, and it's like phenomenal to see.
You're all learning every day, right?
Exactly. I'm like, oh gosh, like literally I sit on podcasts and I'm like, oh my gosh, like rates are going down, like should we buy a house, like, or like I probably shouldn't drink that medication. So there's a variety of talent that comes through here and that we learn from.
That's awesome. And Carlos, so you mentioned the failures. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because so the people that we want to inspire, right? These Hispanic immigrants that come just with a suitcase full of dreams to this country, or maybe sometimes they're born here just like you, but come from a Hispanic immigrant family, and which has to start from zero. So and sometimes they don't have maybe the capacity of building a business, or they have that idea that they want to pursue, but they don't dare to do it. So can you just briefly mention about that and how you overcame those situations?
Man, that's a great question. And that phrase, easier said than done, is so true. We, like I said earlier, we had multiple businesses before we had this, and we failed at some of them. And I think failing is part of growth. if you're sitting right now and you're thinking, man, I want to start a business, or like, how do I do it? Know that you will fail at some point. But that shouldn't discourage you from doing it. Because failure, o el fracaso, es lo que te va a traer the refining, the polishing of who you need to become. If you don't fail, you never learn. If I can be vulnerable and share a little personal story, which was one of the hardest times in my life. But we built High Hello Labs, and we struck gold pretty quick. But we were making mistakes. And we were entrepreneurs, so I don't know if our mistakes were I don't know if our mistakes were really like being noticeable, but they were happening in the background internally. And as early entrepreneurs, you just think like, oh, this is part of it, or we'll see where it takes us, or like, oh, it's early. But one of our mistakes that we made was that we weren't seeing the value in our services. So we were charging very little.
Okay. Yeah.
And the only reason I know is because one of my clients, who's a financial advisor, was doing their podcast, and their guest, who was virtual, he was complimenting the studio. And my client was like, oh yeah, this is High Hello Lab Studio right downtown, right a few streets down from our office. We love it here. Beautiful space. And he said under his breath, because I'm in the room, though they charge very little. And when he said that, we laughed, and I was like, So then after the session's over and he's about to leave, I said, hey, do you mind if I ask a question? Do you really think that we charge very little? And he's like, can I be honest? I was like, please, 100%. He's like, 100%.
Wow.
He's like, I'll tell you this. You need to increase your prices by at least 60%. And he charges for advice, financial advice. Yeah. So he's like, that's a freebie on me. I was like, 60%? Like, are you crazy? Like, there is no way that I'm going to. Because, when you think about like increasing rates, it's like a 5, a 10% or something small. When he's saying 60%, I'm like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm very good, and I advise any early entrepreneur or young entrepreneur, listen and learn from the wise. There are men and women who went before you who made mistakes, and you don't know everything.
Yes.
And don't act like you know everything, because you
mentors.
don't.
Yes.
Mentors is the key to success in a lot of the mistakes that you're going to make. So we increased our rates, and he told me, he's like, trust me, increase your rates by 60%, and you're not going to see a flinch from your clients, because they're paying for Carlos, because you are selling premier services and you're charging basic. And that stuck to me.
Wow.
Ana Caro, I was like,
I can relate to that.
What am I doing?
And I think that's a mindset.
I came from the nonprofit world.
Exactly.
And Hispanic world.
Exactly.
I had no knowledge of like how prices increase year after year, how like what's the word I'm looking for? ¿Cómo que se dice? Que todo aumenta. Inflation. All this stuff. It's like, I had no knowledge of it. And I'm like, damn. So the mistakes that we made at the beginning that we didn't see an immediate effect were slowly but surely affecting us. And it brought us to the point where we had $7 in our bank account. I have 3 children. I have a son with autism who needs health insurance, who needs therapy. And I literally am sitting on my kitchen table or a dining table, and it's like, God, I have $7 in my account. How did this happen? Why, God? You blame God, you blame everybody. But it's like, dude, it's the stupid mistakes you made at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I don't regret those mistakes
No.
because I learned.
Mm-hmm.
And now, moving forward, it's like, I'm not going to undervalue my value.
Yeah,
My labor and my work is worth what I charge.
it is. It is, of course.
So that was a little personal story, and it was very tough
Yeah.
because I would go into my pantry. We didn't have money for groceries. We didn't tell anybody. We didn't tell our parents because immediately one phone call we would have had thousands in our bank account. But we didn't want to depend on anybody else, or like, and maybe there's a little bit of pride where it's like you don't want to show failure, or
Yeah.
but honestly, like, showing failure is part of your growth as well.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
because I think
Now I have $8 in my account, so
so now I can share this story. But no, thank you for sharing, because that being vulnerable first, that
Mhm.
sometimes it is underrated, and I think that when we are vulnerable and we can really tell the stories from that place, that's where we're really gonna make an impact on others, right? And me as an entrepreneur, like, and also Hispanic, because you touch on a good point. It is a mindset.
Yeah.
No sé por qué los hispanos, we come to this country, we open the business, y pensamos que tenemos que cobrar poco.
Exacto.
Y no, we don't have to do that. First you have to understand the value of the service or product, whatever you are providing, and be very confident about that.
Yeah.
Right? And the same thing happened to me, the same thing. And I have to, it was because of a session that I had with some mentors, that they told me, first you have to believe in you and whatever, the service you are providing, and your team and everything, because, the price that you're putting is not only affecting you, it's affecting the team.
Yeah.
Right? So if you want to raise salaries, you want to, continue growing, if you want to deliver like the quality, you need to have and be competitive out there.
Yeah.
So, pero es difícil, creo que es ese, y es
hay
un buen tip que les podemos dar.
Exacto, porque es bueno, la mentalidad es, hay que ser competitivos, pero no hay que ser estúpidos.
Exacto.
Y muchas veces uno dice, por agarrar el negocio, yo le bajo le doy 50% de descuento.
Sí.
O sea, you don't know how.
Ojo, y al principio está bien.
Sí.
At the beginning, when you started, like the first couple, sí, vamos a hacer.
Es el sacrificio.
Porque te toca build portfolio y hacer todo esto, pero ya después que ya tú tienes todo listo, vamos a...
Y una cosa que aprendí también, que de nuevo, uno no sabe todo y se tiene que seguir aprendiendo diariamente.
Todos los días.
Con este advisor mío, o sea, él me dijo, and you're not only going to raise your prices by 60%, you're going to increase your prices every 3 months by 3%, 5%, 6%, 4%, until you see, okay, I've hit a threshold. And it's like, this is business. People will pay, but you undervalue your value that you think people will never pay this much. And it's like, trust me, they'll do it. So don't undervalue your worth.
Yeah. Bueno, Carlos, now we are going to get to these questions that I'm asking everybody that comes to Hablamos Spanglish.
Dale.
So you're going to say the first thing that comes to mind when I mention that word. Okay. First, food.
Chimiquín.
Chimiquín. ¿Qué es chimiquín? What is chimiquín?
Dude, Chimiquín es un restaurante dominicano riquísimo.
Really?
Dude.
Where is it?
Hay varios lugares. El que yo voy es, it's on Conroy and...
Oh, it's here. Okay.
Sí, Orlando. Conroy and Lake Santo. And Conroy, somewhere.
But what do you eat there at chimiquín? What do you usually get?
El mangudeo con chicharrón. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Go to like butter. Dude, it's amazing. And it's only $5. So.
Favorite sport?
Right now, Formula 1.
Formula 1?
Big fan, yeah.
Okay.
But I love football. So.
Okay. Music?
Music, oh my gosh, I'm a lover of music. Everything under the sun except for country
Except
or
for
heavy metal.
Okay, okay.
But my sweet spot is probably jazz.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Interesting. Do you play music?
I used to be a saxophone player, so
Oh, there you go.
There
I might have to ask because, yeah, you know that I had that music.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Esa
Your
vena
dad, that's true.
musical,
Sí,
so
sí,
I
sí.
know. Like when somebody mentions jazz, it's for something.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have, somebody that you feel inspired with, or that you would like to meet?
Well, I would love to meet two men. One is already dead, but it was Steve Jobs.
Okay.
He always really inspired me, and I loved his story, even though he was a crazy dude, but like he's fantastic. And the other one is Elon Musk.
Okay.
I would love to
Oh
meet
my God.
Elon Musk.
Of course, as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And then, my last one is TV show.
Oof, TV show. Favorite TV show?
Yeah.
I think I gotta go with a classic, Friends.
There you go. Yeah, that's. There you go. And
It's
everybody
funny. It
that
never
knows
gets
me,
old. It never gets
never.
old. Like you literally go, because I would travel around the world all the time,
Yeah.
and I would see Friends in different languages. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
my
it's
God.
still funny.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, so I learned English
Through Friends?
through friends, right?
Really?
Like I used to go to school, and then
Yeah, for sure.
on Thursday
Yeah.
watch Friends, and I remember my dad saying, the first day that my sister and I laugh at a joke, he's like, "Oh, you're now bilingual," because like if you think about it, los chistes y todo eso is very muy cultural. Okay, and is there a food from home that you
That I
miss?
love? Oh yes, so many. But I would probably say los hot dogs.
Okay.
Did you hear that? Los hot dogs.
Pero los hot dogs, ¿cómo? ¿Son diferentes?
Ah, sí. Los hot dogs de la calle 6. So the way they make it is like the bun, but it's like a hot dog wrapped in bacon. There's fried beans on top. Not fried beans. Yeah, like fried beans on top, mayonnaise, jalapeno sauce, tomato, onion. Oh, dude, so good.
Oh my gosh. And
yeah, homey food.
Y bueno, ya estamos llegando al final, to the end of the episode, but I don't want to leave without you sharing a tip or an advice to somebody that dreams with becoming an entrepreneur, like sharing three pequeñitos advices que les puedo dar.
Bueno, una, tienes que confiar en ti mismo. O sea, nadie va a confiar en ti si tú no confías en ti. So you trust your gut, trust yourself, trust that you know what you're going to do is what you want to do. 2, enjoy the process. It might be shitty right now and it might be bad and you might be upset or angry, but it doesn't last. So it's going to get better. And then number 3, my father-in-law says this all the time, but it's never look down on those on your way up, because you don't know who's gonna help you when you're on your way down. And that is like, it always hits me, because it's like, doesn't matter how successful you're gonna get, you don't know how many people can actually help you.
That's true. It is true.
At different points in life, because right now you might be on a high, but tomorrow you might be on a low. So you want those people that have mutual respect and admiration to, hey, I'll have your back.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Carlos. Thank you for sharing your
having
story.
me. Yeah, for sure.
So I know this won't be, it might be the first, but not the last.
Not the last. Yes.
So very exciting. And thank you, Hi Hello, for everything you guys are doing to keep inspiring and many Hispanic immigrants here in the U.S.
Claro que sí, claro que sí.
Gracias.
Gracias por tenerme.